MCAT 2017 Cram, Critical Analysis and Reasoning Skills, Flashcard Set 18.3, Primordial and Complex Jealousy. As you view the reading of the passage, you'll notice a few highlighted snippets of text. What I want you to do is garner meaning from these specific selections in order to answer the reasoning within the text question that follows. So good luck and happy reading. Paragraph 1. While the origins and possible function of jealousy have been debated, most theorists agree on one defining feature. It requires a social triangle, arising when an interloper, that's a person who becomes involved in a place or situation where they are not wanted or are considered not to belong, threatens an important relationship. A common assumption has been that the elicitation meaning gathering of requirements data, of jealousy involves and perhaps requires complex cognitive abilities, including appraisals about the meaning of the rival threat to oneself, example given, self-esteem, and to one's relationship. Paragraph 2. One possibility is that jealousy first evolved in the context of sibling-parent relationships, where dependent offspring compete for parental resources. An implication meaning the conclusion that can be drawn from something, although it is not explicitly stated, of this hypothesis is that jealousy may have a primordial or core form that can be triggered without complex cognition about the self or about the meaning of the social interaction. This primordial form of jealousy may be elicited by the relatively simple perception that an attachment figure or loved one's attention has been captured by a potential usurper, which suffices to elicit a motive to regain the loved one's attention and block the liaison. Primordial jealousy may serve as the building block for jealousy elicited by more complex cognitive processes. For example, in adult human relationships, the experience of jealousy is greatly impacted by additional appraisals about the meaning of the interaction. Example given, does this mean my mate will leave me? Am I unlovable? In both primordial and complex cases of jealousy, there is a motivation to restore the relationship and remove the usurper. However, in the later case, interpretations of the situation play a large role in the elicitation and experience of the emotion. Paragraph 3. The theory that jealousy can take a primordial form finds its support from all the small but emerging body of research on human infant jealousy. Several studies have found that infants as young as 6 months of age show behaviors indicative of jealousy. For example, when their mothers interacted with what appeared to be another infant, but was actually a realistic-looking doll, the infants did not display the same behaviors as when their mothers attend to a book. Paragraph 4. The current experiment adapted a paradigm from human infant studies to examine jealousy in domestic dogs. The idea that dogs are capable of jealousy is congenial to the burgeoning body of research on animal social cognition that reveals that dogs have sophisticated social cognitive abilities. For example, dogs can use a variety of human communicative signals, such as pointing, gazing, to determine the location of hidden food are better at using social cues than chimpanzees show some sensitivity to reward inequity when a partner is rewarded and they are not, and appear aware of and actively attempt to manipulate the visual attention of their play partners. Paragraph 5. To evaluate dogs' jealous behaviors, 36 dogs were individually tested and videotaped while their owners ignored them and interacted with a series of 3 different objects. In the jealousy condition, the owner treated a stuffed dog, which briefly barked and wagged its tail as if it was a real dog. For example, petting and talking sweetly. In another condition, owners engaged in the same behaviors but did so towards a novel object, jack-o'-lantern, pail, like the ones that you put candy in around Halloween. This enabled us to test whether the elicitation of jealousy required that the owner show affection to inappropriate stimulus, what appeared to be a conspecific. This word means of animals or plants belonging to the same species, or whether affectionate behaviors directed to a non-social stimulus would be enough to arouse jealous behaviors. In the third condition, the owner read aloud a children's book, which had pop-up pages and played melodies. This condition allowed us to test whether dogs' behaviors in the other conditions were indicative of jealousy per se, arising over the loss of affection and attention towards an interloper, or more general negative affect meaning emotions, due to the loss of the owner's attention. As discussed earlier, the proposed function of jealousy is to break up a potentially threatening liaison and protect the primary relationship. This motivates several types of behaviors, including approach actions, such as attempts to get physically or psychologically between the attachment and the interloper, attending to, that means deal with, the threatening interaction, seeking attention from the attachment figure, as well as indicators of negative emotions such as aggression, particularly towards the interloper. Across social species, we would expect to see similar types of behaviors that serve the function of this motivational state. Okay, that's it. That wasn't so bad. All right, so an assumption the author makes about the dogs in the experiment is that A, dogs will sense when owners are more excited about the jack-o'-lantern than about reading the book aloud. B, dogs will not feel jealous when their owners are reading a book. C, dogs will feel jealous when they see their owners giving affection to jack-o'-lanterns. Or both B and C. So press pause and I'll give you a moment to think. If you're having difficulty answering, open up a second window to view the reading of the passage and search for text highlights to find the text support to answer this question. All right. Okay, so this is a reasoning within the text question, which means that it wants you to recall or think about the evidence that the author uses to support his argument. All right, so first of all, there's nothing in the passage to suggest anything about dogs sensing excitement, okay? Nor is there anything about the relationship between jealousy and the perception of an owner's excitement, as answer choice A is suggesting. So this is out. The author says that the third condition involving the owner ignoring the dog while reading the book aloud would be used as a behavioral benchmark to distinguish between general negative behavior and jealous behavior. However, this has to assume that any negative behavior exhibited by the dog when the owner is distracted by a book is not jealousy, which is what answer choice B is saying. So it's looking like this is going to be the correct choice, but let's think about C for a little bit also. Even though the author is open to the idea that the dog may feel jealous when the owner is distracted by the jack-o'-lantern, this is not assumed to be true. It's being tested. So, this is not always going to be an assumption, okay? Therefore, the correct answer choice is answer choice B. Dogs will not feel jealous when their owners are reading a book. All right?